Hey, so I'm going to walk you through the first layer of color on this painting. And to start, I have a phthalo blue background and I'm working with white charcoal that I've done the drawing in. So the first thing I'm doing is putting down some brown. I just want to get the values in, and I'm starting with dark. This is a bunch of brown that I had mixed before. So it's mostly umber, has a little bit of yellow ochre in it, and then white is the lighter values. So we're putting light, making sure that this subject is going to look believably like she's got some depth to her. And I had put in most of where the bright lights were with the white charcoal when I was transferring the drawing. So I transfer the drawing by putting white charcoal on the back of a printed out sketch that I had worked out in Procreate, and then traced over it, and the white charcoal transferred nicely. How I did that, got it transferred nicely, was I put matte medium over that first layer of phthalo blue. So I'm using more of the yellow ochre color in that middle value. So I want her to look like there's light, there's some brightness. And I used a warm color because I had a cool background, so I wanted to be able to see it. I wanted her to stand out, but I'm going to use some cooler colors in a minute here. And this is sped up because otherwise it would be really long. So this is about 45 minutes worth of painting in 11 minutes. So you can see where my brush comes up because I'm thinking. So I'm putting some white in here and a brighter version of the color that I've been using. Starting to get more middle values. So it's not just light and dark. So this is umber. I don't think it's a burnt ochre. I think it's yellow oxide. These are all golden fluid acrylics. And going in with just raw umber, try and make these shadows go deeper, deeper. There's only so deep I'm going to be able to go using a warm color on a cool background. But I'm starting to get an idea of form. And she's wearing sweats in this. This is a pandemic themed portrait. So sweats as we're all wearing. And so now I pull in some magenta. I want to stay warm but add some depth to these shadows. So magenta is the answer for that. It's got more depth to it than just the umber. And then I'm coming in with some blue. So this is a little ultramarine. I'm trying to see how that does with the shadows on the hair, if that's giving me more depth. And going in to add. So playing with going back and forth between warm, cool. This is white and ultramarine. So I want this eventually to look like there is a cool blue light on her. So I'm going to keep going in with some blues, and that's why the background is blue, because even though I'm going to add layers and layers and layers of paint on this, there's just going to be a little bit of that phthalo blue that comes through. And I'm also going to keep mixing some ultramarine and adding that to the shadows and the light. And here I'm going in with a really, really deep violet. And this is going to be my darkest shadow. I don't like to use just black for the shadow. I might later, but I want things that are black to really show as black. So I'm going in with this super dark violet and cleaning up all of where the dark, dark shadows are. Ooh. And by now I've got a little bit of an idea of where the rest of the color is going. So I know that I want the actual background to be warmer. And I'm getting magenta on my floor, which will be eventually textured to look like a carpet. And putting yellow in the background. So getting all around her. And once I get that blue light effect on her, this yellow, which is eventually going to turn into a wallpaper pattern, will help to make her pop. So I'm just putting those colors in for now so I can gauge the other colors that I'm putting on her. I'm going to work on the figure mostly first. So here's my sienna, and I'm starting to lay down more closely the colors that will actually be here. So here is some sienna. And this is my favorite thing to build people that have a pale skin tone with is Naples yellow. And then getting some pink, which is magenta and white. So pink socks. And then comes my medium. So this is a medium that is meant to make it so that the paint dries slower. It's a slick medium called a color float. And I use it to thin out my paint instead of using like a matte or a gloss medium or just water. It keeps it so that it blends nicely for a while and has a certain transparency that works for my style of painting. So you can see here, I'm adding the final color of what this is going to be. So this is like a green turquoise sweater. And even though I painted that whole sweater the turquoise color, it still has all the depth of the other colors underneath. So here's ultramarine blue, which is going to be a bit of the pants below. And again, even though it is looking like blue pants and the blue is going over all of it, it's just adding like a blue tint, and we're still getting all the depth of the warm and cool layers that we added there. So using more browns, getting into my darker values to add some more in, and trying to pull the sides of the hair back and give some more dimension to the face. So I want her to look to have sort of a rosy complexion, and I'm going to use that magenta to help in the shadowy areas. And it's got that color float in it, so here when I come in with the lighter, it's just going to blend really nice. You see that it turns into a smooth transition. I'm laying down some very basic colors in the eyes, um, just so I can get the shadows, start to get a sense of what this is. So this, again, it's all the base color, and more is going to be added. And she's holding a mask out there. So now I'm using yellow to start to get some details in the hair. So she'll have blonde hair, and the yellow is going to be where the light is hitting that. I'm using Naples yellow for the whites of the eyes for now, so then when I add some white on there later, they will actually pop in the white. I might even make that a little bit darker. And using Naples yellow here to add some light highlights on things. So I moved from, the rest of the painting is in a 0 round brush, and this is in a 3/0 brush that I'm getting some more fine details in. Pretty much the two brushes that I go to most often. So I want to make sure when I get those eyes in that it kind of looks like she's looking out of the painting at the viewer. And that is it for now. So after I did this, then I let it dry and put a layer of gloss medium on it. And you'll have to wait for the next video to see what happens.